Listeners be advised. The Soliloquy podcast discuss matters related to the human experience and many that are sexual in nature. Due to this, some conversations may surround triggering topics such as sexual violence, self harm, abuse, and much more. Please be advised, a list of crisis and psychological resources will be available in the show notes of this episode. With that said, let's get started with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please as we go through the following safety instructions.
In the event that there is a loss of cabin pressure, oxygen mask will drop from the overhead. Place the mask over your nose and mouth. Breathe normally as oxygen is flowing even if the mask is not inflated. Be sure to adjust your own mask before helping others.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Soliloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. This is your favorite host, Vernon T. Scott, also known as Slaytor Jackson, and for you freaking motherfuckers out there, Sebastian Adams. By this point, you should already know that a hoe is out here. A hoe is doing whatever I need to do. There's like this other podcast that's out here, named The Vibrator My Pod. I'm preparing for Hovember. I'm doing some things that y'all need to get ready for, as well as getting ready for I need to like sit down and do this other than having a cover done. Working on this new journal for this year. I don't know if I'm going to be updating the journal yearly going forward, but at least I feel like I need to at least do the one for body because the category of the year of 2023 is still body, motherfuckers. So I don't know what I'm talking about. Today we're talking about fetishes, and with me I am joined by Fortis. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. So, if y'all have not been introduced to this gentleman, I don't know what you've been doing. You have not been listening to the podcast. Clearly, what are you doing with your lives? Go back and listen to the episodes. If that means go to episode one, if it's still out there. If not, it's in the Patreon. You can find it there. But listen to these episodes, catch up so you can know who all these wonderful, beautiful people are that comes onto the Soliloquy podcast, okay? Okay. So we're getting into this conversation about not Fortis, that's you, about fetishes. I've been drinking. So I'm good though. I forgot where we're going with this. Oh, we're talking about fetishes today. I should have mentioned I was drinking. Now y'all gonna think I'm drunk. I'm not drunk, I promise. So, Fortis, what
Yes.
are some of your personal fetishes and your experiences with fetishes before we get into the heavier side of the conversation that I have planned for us, as well as get into what we talked about before we even started this damn conversation? But what what are some of your personal experiences as it relates to fetishes and your experiences and whatnot?
When it comes to fetishes, I would say my main experience, I haven't met anything. Well, I met some people who have had some very interesting fetishes, but in general, for me, I would say mainly for me, I'm into ass fetish. I do have that.
Mm.
Then on top of that, I will also say I'm a person that's also interested in something such as I'm starting to learn that I recently have something called oralism. And so
Hmm.
that has a fetishization associated with sounds. Now get this. This is particularly kind of it's almost associated with ASMR almost
Mm.
because I found out, and this is when I was like younger, and I did not know this until now, but depending on someone who eats, that kind of turns me on, and I found out by accident,
Yes.
and I don't know what it is. At first, it was very annoying. It did annoy me, but then there were times that it did intrigue me. Now, the reason why I found out it intrigued me because for some odd reason, it's weird. My right butt cheek, for some odd reason, experiences a tingling sensation. I kid you not. It's
Oh,
weird.
tickle in
I,
the right butt cheek, Lord.
yes, I like it's crazy. It's like whenever that happens, I'm like, oh dang. And I get so upset and irritated because I'm like, this is so damn embarrassing. Like, oh no. And it's rare that I talk about it because I'm like, I think some people be like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, look, I don't know what's going on. All I just know is my body is intrigued by the sounds of someone eating. And I guess it's chewy sounds, like chewy texture. Or for some odd reason, when somebody chewing some gummy candy or something like that, it, oh God, it just takes me to another zone.
So, would you say like even the sound of someone smacking, does that turn you on a little bit as well, or is it more so the like the chewing aspect, the crunching? Like what is it within the sounds of eating that like excites you a little bit?
I think it's the sounds. It's like the different
I'm sorry.
sounds because the chewy texture is one thing. Now, another thing that triggers me in a sense,
Mhm.
because especially depending on the person, because there are some people I have met that would smack continuously. And the reason why it bothers me so much is because, like, my body is so weird because when I experience these tingling sensations, I'm like, ugh, I'm like, oh no. And like it makes me feel some type of way because I'm like, especially when they do it in public, I'm like, oh no, like this is not right. No. I was like, wow. So I think in that regard, it's associated with the sound of their lips and everything. Like the
Mm,
lips smacking, all of that.
mm.
So it's crazy.
So, would you say if you were to be engaging in sex with a partner, you would want them to like lean in and just do like like the little slapping and like
Yes.
that kind of sound to your
Mm-hmm.
ear?
Oh
Hmm.
yes, I'm fine with that.
I like that. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We love to see it. So, what about have you seen any of the videos related to like food porn? And I mean like the actual food pornography where people are engaging in sexual experiences with each other and they're using food, they're shoving it down their partner's mouth, or they're spreading like cake on their bodies and eating off of it, or putting like cream and sugary items all over someone's butt cheek and start like biting and eating the cream off of their asses and all that other stuff. Is have you seen any of that? And if not, is that something that you're probably going to be looking into after this call?
So actually, first and foremost, I had experiences with that. And that's actually one of the
Ooh,
top things that I love doing, actually, believe it or not. I did have this
yes.
one thing that I always wanted to try, but each time I tell a person this, they would actually be so thrown off by it because basically it involves like analingus, of course, rim, like giving a guy a rim job.
Hmm,
And so
hmm.
basically what I would like to do is like pour nectar or some type of juice inside the guy and use like a Twizzler straw and suck it out of him. So
Oh,
that's always something I wanted to try personally.
okay, you're nasty. We support. Yes. Like I, this is a thing. I have not heard of anybody using a Twizzler to do this. That's intriguing. I'm here for it. They are built like a straw. Let's
Right.
like yes, we yes. But I have heard of people who are into like people who may put food into them and then they excrete it into someone's mouth or into like a um um not a flask, a funnel. That's the word I'm looking for. They're doing it in a funnel so that they can eat it, or those kind of things. But it starts off in whatever cavity that it starts off in, be it the anus or the vagina, or you know it
Oh
starts off
yeah.
there and then they are eating it out of them or they're drinking it out of them. And I like the thought of a Twizzler in someone's asshole is very intriguing. Like,
I know, right? Because I think it makes it more appealing. I don't know what it is. I'm like, oh, it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like you know how you drink like out of coconut, actual coconut. That's how I like
mm,
to think. I don't know.
uh-uh. Look, coconut or asshole, what's the difference?
Mhm. Right.
Like, I think for some people, because it's something that they're not familiar with, and it's like for me, I'm not going to be like shocked by any kind of fetish of like that because I've actually seen videos of like food play and whatnot. So you when you see like the fringes of sexual expression, you become very accepting of a lot of different things. So like and this is why you may hear a lot of sex coaches, sex educators, sexologists, clinical sexologists, whatever the title it is, people dealing within this realm use like, I'm not going to yuck your yum, or I'm not going to like kink shame, whatever the phrasing that they use is because
Mhm.
there's so many great different ways other people experience their sexual expression, even though it may not be something for yourself. It's something that other people enjoy, and that is perfectly fine, and that is okay. And I say that for any person who may have been automatically like, oh my God, who would do something like that? If it's not for you, it's just not for you, and that is perfectly fine.
Right.
Um, and on top of that, I think it is very like just to think of the act of that happening really fascinates me because I feel like I will watch that. I know like participating in it, I will have so many concerns because my ass would just be overthinking, but I would actually watch that engagement happen. Like, just to
Right.
be honest.
Right. No, it's like yes, because I have seen food porn before and I
Mhm.
have enjoyed it. But I actually done it myself too. It's just I haven't done that particular thing that I wanted to do though. Because I think I just gotta meet someone who at least, who will be actually up for it.
Mhm. And like I think I don't know who it is. There's some celebrity who's been open about is it Glorilla? About their experiences with I don't want to say it's Glorilla, but I remember hearing about there's this one celebrity, I think a rapper, and it was a woman, a female rapper, and she was talking about how she enjoys when her partner comes like on food and she eats it right after, like after he comes. And I'm like, if that's your thing, do you? I love that for you. And
That's
I
extra protein,
remember,
man.
huh?
That's extra protein.
It is protein. And I
Mhm.
remember seeing some backlash, not real like heavy backlash, like, oh my God, who does that? Like, it was more like a lot of people like ill, not ill, but who will do something like that? That doesn't sound like they're being honest. This is unreal. This is, dismissing it as though this is not a way some people really do express their sexuality. And I think I love that she was comfortable enough and willing to talk about that to show that this is something that happens with other people and this is completely normal because the main messaging that I saw on a many posts related to that is, oh, she could have just kept that to herself. She didn't have to tell anybody that this is what she does in the bedroom. However, many people are fascinated with these stars enough that they really do want to know what the hell's going on in their bedroom. So I'm like,
Exactly.
you can't win for losing. So it's like, or in this case, win for winning because look, she's getting her nut, he's getting his nut. Why are you upset?
Uh-huh.
So, but I think it is important for there to be more conversations related to the kinks that we enjoy because we should. I feel as though as a society, we're at a point where we need to be moving forward in those conversations and talking about these things because if we continue to not address it, we continue to like not decompose, but in a way decompose as a society. We continue to fall apart at the seams, and we continue to um, ostracize others just because we don't are these individuals don't fit our definitions of normal in a way.
Right. And see, I think that's very strange with us living in Western culture, within the United States particularly, because
Mhm.
there's been times and like we're living in a culture that basically sexuality is basically emphasized to a great extent. You see it on TV, you
Mhm.
see it everywhere around us. And my thing is like if y'all can be able to push this narrative on certain people and do certain things, then why not open the doors of exploring what people's fetishes are? Like I don't think
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with that. Because I mean the
Agree.
thing about it is at the end of the day, this is one of the things that gets to explore the depths of people's psyche. I think it's very
Mhm.
interesting and intriguing to me.
No, I agree. I truly agree because it's like it helps people see themselves as normal because like that's the unhealthy part of being in the United States. Well, there's a lot of unhealthy parts, but this is one
Uh-huh.
facet of that. But that's one part of why is one one unhealthy part of being in the United States and being within Western civilization and like ideology is that it is always pushed that there's only one set norm. The Soliloquy podcast focuses on the variability of sexual expression. When it comes to sexual expression, we often depend on pornography to illustrate how one must perform sexually. For those who have not learned this by now, the stuff you see in porn is not real. Pornography provides a singular perspective of sexual expression that is not often the reality we see during our own sexual encounters. The Soliloquy podcast is a conversation that takes you outside of the compressed box of what many know about sex. Some of the topics we discuss includes kinks, condom usage, status disclosure, and past sexual experiences. The Soliloquy podcast steps out on sexual norms and recognizes that the norm is not the only normal. Subscribe today and join the conversation. Western civilization and like ideology is that it is always pushed that there's only one set norm. Like even when it comes to animals and how they express themselves and how they express their sexuality, we're not taught that, oh, wait, animals don't really do anything that we were taught. Like there's not that conversation like, oh, there's a king of the jungle and all this other stuff. There's one male per pride and all. No, all that is a lie. There's multiple males that can be in a pride. Not all everybody's fighting to be a leader. Yes, you do
Hmm.
commonly see the female lions chasing after the prey and killing the prey, and that is usually because they're faster. However, the male lions also hunt too. So it's like we don't have these conversations because there's like this certain narrative that's always pushed, and the narrative doesn't ever tell the full story. Most definitely when it comes to sexuality, most definitely when it comes to genders and gender roles and gender expression, or even just how birth control. That's another one. Like it's so many
Hmm.
things. But all right, now that I'm off my little soapbox, is are there any other fetishes that you're intrigued by that you enjoy outside of that?
Ah, I can't think. I am interested in being tied up, but other than that, I
Ooh,
think that's about it for
yes.
right now. I think, yes.
Yes, you better
So
get
I'm more
tied
of
the
a
fuck
rope
up.
bunny, really. I like that. I don't know.
Yes, yes. I'm here for it. Now, in our intake meeting, because we're going to go into a little bit of the darker side of things. Oh,
Okay.
before I even go into that, I have to admit, yeah, I'm here for the being tied up in the rope bunny because look, the, depending on the person I'm with, tie me the fuck up. I don't want to escape. I want to be a little bit, I want to be tortured a little bit
Right.
in terms of pleasure. I'm not trying to feel any kind of pain, but I don't need to escape. What am I escaping from? Show me what I need to escape. Oh, okay. I'm in a moment. Um, so outside of me in that moment, I'm exiting. So in our intake meeting, and also going into the darker side of this conversation, we were talking about big butts and how we're I don't want to say socialized in a way, but big butts and butts in general is always like in our preview some way, meaning on TV, you can see like the ass out somewhere on a cartoon. We can see butt crack all over the damn television. And within our discussion about butts, we were talking about Sarah Bartman. And this was an enslaved black woman who after her death was trafficked throughout European countries solely because of the size of her ass. And this also led to the over sexualization, even though it existed prior to her passing, but this contributed to the over sexualization of Black women throughout the years and what the Black body is supposed to look like. So, what are some of your thoughts about Sarah Bartman and her situation, her life in general?
I will be honest. I have read into that, and it's disturbing. I learned that since high school.
Hmm.
And it has, to me, it's very triggering each time when I reflect on it because I think that's one of the reasons why it explains us as a collective why we often prize like women or even men who have nice derriere. Like, let's be real
Hmm.
because she was the post, like she was the embodiment of that. She was the embodiment of the voluptuous figure. Like, and she was to me, I feel like aside from her physical attributes, I feel like it's just so unfortunate that she was just looked at as such because what a lot of people, most people don't understand is, or what they don't know about her is actually she was fluent in different languages. So she was highly intelligent. And I feel like many people have not given her the respect that they should have, unfortunately. And I feel like even learning about her after death is because they have mentioned that they did desecrated her corpse. What I mean by
Hmm.
that is they basically, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think they cut her vagina and placed it into a jar or something, if I'm not mistaken, to preserve it. So it is sad, and I think it was only up until maybe I'm not sure what year it was, so don't quote me on this because I think the viewers probably can research more into it. But I think it was about a decade or two ago is when they actually returned her to her homeland.
Mm.
So it bothers me. And plus, there was a biopic, or they did do a movie on her, and I felt like it was so sad because I felt like it just shows give you a window into the past of how the struggles of her being a black woman and everything what other people as black people had to go through.
Hmm.
Not so I think it's very sad. It bothers me to this day because honestly, if you think about it, we're still experiencing that now more than
Mm.
ever.
That
It's being
part.
commercialized. It's being profit. Like people profit off of that. People profit off of that, and that's not right, and it's not good.
I agree. And I know we'll probably go a little bit deeper into this in the next episode we do, which will be about Black fetishization. But like this reminds me of that when it's horrible that the reason we know about her it's great that we do know about her as a historical person, knowing her name and knowing that she existed. That's a beautiful thing, most definitely during those times. But we don't know of her because of the fact that she was intelligent. We don't know of her because of the contributions that she may have made to, let's say, the farm, the plantation she was working on, or the family that she was enslaved to, or even her lineage outside of that. We don't have that information, but what we do know is that the reason why we know her name is because of her physique, because of the sexualization that the enslavers back then placed upon her solely because her body was a little bit different than what they were used to seeing. That either they were turned on by it or fascinated by it or just saw her as a subject that was beyond their imagination. But we only know her name solely because she became a sexual object versus a human being. And that's the thing that really doesn't sit well with me. And that's the thing that we see still going on today, that when it comes to the spaces that we operate in and we engage to be sexual, that many of us are seen as the object of someone's interest rather than a person that they can potentially engage with for a sexual experience, for something that they um, want to receive pleasure within that experience and provide that pleasure to that human being as well. So it's very dehumanizing, is what I'm saying.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like I do wish that on a regular basis that we did live in a society where we could happily have these conversations about, hey, you're a human, I'm a human. What can we engage in together that will be mutually fun for us? But on countless occasions, most definitely when it comes to dating apps, hookup apps, or anything like that, you're seen as that sex object first. In human, I don't know when.
Right. It's so unfortunate because also, if I may add,
Hmm.
and also it also feels like taboo. And that's why I feel like it's so disrespectful, especially for Black people. I feel like we have been treated as a taboo topic. And
Mm.
that's why a lot of times it's not been much discussed. Because even I tried before this episode, I even attempted to try to do more research and everything to this nature. But there was a lot of literary work that was being done, but it only grasps on superficial levels and superficial topics of the
Mm.
situation. So that's why I feel like it's not being explored like it's supposed to.
Agreed. No, I agree with you so fucking much because like whenever we engage into any type of history or anything, we like my issue, like whenever I hear people talking about data and all this other stuff, and the data says this, the data says that, and I'm just like, the only you can say all these things about data, but you forever miss the context of the situation. That's what a lot of our education or even articles that we read, they focus on that, but they don't provide the context of the situation. Because look, if you there's this book I read, it's called Slavery's Capitalism, and I think I'm referring to the right book, where they were talking about how slave owners would constantly say that the enslaved people are not doing proper job, they're inefficient, they're not working as properly, they're not doing anything to make the economy successful. Meanwhile, the United States market is just flourishing, and the South is producing all these great things, and they're just doing all the wonderful things to make sure everybody has profit. But they're using the argument that if you look at our data, they're not being efficient. We just got some more enslaved people, and have we're whipping them and doing all these horrible things. Of course, they didn't admit that, but we're doing these things to make them more efficient, but they're not doing the best that they can. Meanwhile, enslaved people were outperforming actual machinery in the amount of things that they were like the cotton they were plucking. However, they see that as being inefficient because of the numbers that they have and the expectations that they had for the enslaved people. And it misses the context of the reason why they were actually extremely efficient was because of the fear that they were in. It was because of the thought of, if I do not do as great as I can to get all of these bushels picked, that I'm going to be abused, that I'm going to be whipped, that I'm going to possibly be murdered or miss a limb, which sets me further back. So let me do as much as I can in the best amount of time possible whilst trying to survive at the same time. But we
And I
don't get that side of the story because that's too hard to talk about. It's too taboo.
Exactly. And I would definitely, and I think you are very right about that. Because another thing to add on to it, because I think what they associate a lot with Black people is being kind of a superhuman or a superhumanization.
Mm,
To me, when I think of superhumanization, I think that's another form of being dehumanized. Well, the reason why I say that is because you're looking at us as you're thinking that we're so capable of doing so many things without taking into account that we are humans at the end of the day.
mhm,
So I think whenever someone would just compliment someone on their physical attribute, on their strength, or anything to that nature, I think they're just trying to relate them to someone being a superhuman. And I think that is something that to be very careful of because that is a backhanded compliment. To
mhm,
me, I feel like it is because I feel like you're not looking at it and looking at the person. You're just looking at what they can do.
mm,
And that's one of the things I think is why today in today's society, I think that's why they perceive us Black people as being more able to withstand different pains and different things to that nature. And I think that's what's going to be an ongoing struggle because once again,
mhm,
unfortunately, most Black women had to go undergo certain things. That's why the medical is so successful now because they had to do these tests on these women and they had to suffer the consequences of it.
mhm. And I agree that I 100% like most definitely with the superhuman aspect of it. Like our pain doesn't truly matter. medically it doesn't matter because apparently we have a higher pain threshold. No, because a group of people are capable of ignoring the real pain that we're going through on a daily basis in order for us to survive does not mean that the pain is still not there. It does not mean that the pain hurts any more or any less than the pain that you feel. A knife in my body is still a knife in my motherfucking body. And
Exactly.
can you just pull it out and help me stitch my fucking wounds? And yeah,
Mhm.
but to not be so down and depressing, I hope y'all took that message. Something that we ended up talking about prior to this conversation is drawn together. And this is, if you have not heard of it, listeners out there, I recommend you like watch episodes of it. It's very problematic, and I get we're in a completely different age, and you can talk about like do your think pieces about, oh, how could this go by and all this other stuff back in the day. People were toxic. Look, racism exists, patriarchy exists, oppression exists, a lot of shit exists, okay? And a lot of things were normalized that should not have been normalized. And the people who were impacted by that was just like we have issues, okay? So it's definitely worth watching just to engage in that and also to have those conversations with your friends, partners, or what have you about those episodes. But one of the things we were talking about prior to this is the what's the name of that fetish that you said Clara has?
So let me go back on because I did screenshot it. So let me make sure I don't butcher the word. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see for 1 minute.
Take your time.
Okay, found this. So it's called symphorophilia. Symphorophilia. So it's spelled Symphorophilia.
Mm,
And basically the definition is it's rare. So it's a paraphilia that involves sexual arousal from staging and watching disasters such as traffic collisions.
mhm. And I'm fascinated by that solely because like it's a real thing. And when you sent me that scene from the show, I was like I didn't know the name of it. I was like, this is actually something that people really do get off on. And I feel like even though they say it's rare, I feel like it's more common than most people think if you change the situations because this
Exactly.
is dependent upon disasters. But there's a whole subsect of our society who enjoys watching like the action the action movie um like they enjoy seeing, oh, the guns are firing, the accidents are happening, which fits this. They have murder, there's blood, like even when it comes to gore, like the stuff that people are aroused by, like just to know that there's a term for certain things like this, it's just fascinating. So like when you sent me that, all the thoughts that came to mind.
Right, because I was surprised. Like they taught me something new because once again with Drawn Together also was the first show that I saw that taught me about necrophilia because of Captain Hero. And I was
Mhm.
like, ugh. And I said, oh my. I said, damn.
Look, and the amount of sexuality that was in that show, it should not have been on TV, but I'm also glad that it was because it touched base on a lot of sexual issues. Is this the reason why I am the way I am today? Maybe. But because this was one of my favorite shows, to be honest. But it really
Yeah.
did touch base on a lot of different things. They talked about queer issues, coming out. They talked about, in some aspects, fat shaming and bulimia and body image. Like they touched base on some heavy topics and over exaggerated, of course, and also made very like gruesome images too in the process. But they really did hit on some very important things throughout the show's history. Like for almost 10 plus years, I've been calling the vagina, the vulva, the pussy, the poussoir solely because Clara had an octopoussoir, and that shit was hilarious.
I remember that episode. That was a wild one. I'm like, God dang, girl. And I was like, and the thing about it was when I first saw the episode, I was like, damn. But I also did not know that, that people do sexualize tentacles too. So I was like, oh,
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that until you said it. But
yeah,
yes.
like, yeah, because you can see that in anime, like a lot of anime porn. But don't
Hmm.
ask me how I know, but just know it's out there.
So done. You've been looking at it. It's okay. We don't shame. We do not shame. But yeah, I know I sent it in the text messages, and because I just said Captain Hero was a perv, and I stand by that, and I don't say that in a way to like shame him. It's just he's just completely annoying to me. So
Yeah, and he was a sadist. I think he got pleasure out of just bringing people pain or something. If I'm not mistaken.
he did, and I I remember when I would never see Pac-Man the same because it's drawn together. It's like because at Xander's coming out party, Pac-Man was there, and he saw Xander. It was like, Xander was like, "Hey, don't tell Mrs. Pac-Man because Mrs. Pac-Man and his girlfriend that he never really saved, she saved herself, y'all, but his girlfriend were close, and Pac-Man was like, uh, when Xander was like, "Don't tell her," blah 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 blah. Pac-Man took out a bow and was like, "She already knows." I was like, "What the fuck?"
I was so done with that because I was like, God damn, they were showing up like how to be catfish and like and just in a cartoon. Because if you think about it, Xander was catfish.
Facts, facts. And
I was like,
then
dog.
Elmer Fudd was gay.
I said, oh no.
Oh god! And then Wildorf like jacked him off. Well, played with his penis through a glory hole. Y'all, that show is not appropriate for kids, and I watched all of it. I have the DVD set of the.
Oh, you do?
Well, I had it. I don't know if I still have it,
Oh.
but I did own the DVD set to
But
draw
they have it on
together.
Paramount.
Bitch, I'm getting Paramount today.
Yes, because actually, especially if you get a free trial, but then unfortunately, of course, they only had 3 seasons. So unfortunately, that's the sad part about it. I think, honestly speaking, I like, despite its controversy, I actually enjoyed it because it did touch on important issues that I think a lot of people just love to just shove into the closet.
That part. Like that was one of the few shows that actually addressed black issues.
Exactly.
And even though they did over sexualize Foxy, but she was able to, and they made her like they kind of, let's say, ghettofied in a way, but she was a character that stood by herself. She had ownership of herself, and she also spoke truth whenever truth needed to be like spoken. Like when she beat Clara's ass. Oh my God.
I am still floored by that because I mean it's a huge representation of what people go through today. So I mean, honestly speaking, say what they want, but I would say 100% support Foxy Brown for what she had to do.
That part, because look, some bitches need to get slapped. That's, I'm not saying go out and do it. I'm not supporting violence, but in the context of that show, sometimes a motherfucker needs to get slapped, and it happens. So,
Exactly.
oh God. Alrighty. So I think that will be enough for this conversation. Are you ready for a little bit of Never Have I Ever?
Yes, I am.
All right. So never have I ever flirted with a teacher or a boss.
I have never done that. I haven't seen anybody that I wanted to actually have sex with, unfortunately. I have fantasized about it, but unfortunately, most of the people I have met, they were women. So I was like, oh,
Yeah. I get that. I've I won't say I flirted, but I definitely tried to hook up with one of my professors back in undergrad, and it was through an app. It was through I think Adam for Adam. I saw that he had a profile, and I definitely reached out. And to be completely honest, my I was like, I did not have my picture up, so I wasn't shocked if he did or did not respond. And the other part is after I graduated, I tried it. Then I was like, oh, I guess he's just not interested. It's okay, whatever. But
Oh,
yeah, that happened. And then who else? In terms of um like supervisors, bosses, I haven't had any that I flirted with. Have I had a supervisor that I would have been okay with having sex with? Yes, but that mofo
mhm.
was also married and I was not. And his wife was cool and everything. And I was like, I'm not going to add any kind of drama into this. So I was like, we're not. However, if the opportunity presented itself and it was like a knock on the door, like Vernon, what's up? And I'm just like, oh, I'm just sitting here sleeping. It's like, well, you want this dick? And it would be like, yeah, things happen. But
Look, I'm not against it. You got to get it the best way you know how.
that part. So that's the only supervisor I would say I was actually somewhat sexually attracted to. Other than that, I'd just be chilling.
Hmm.
Would you like or would you rather?
Would I rather? Yes.
All right. So, would you rather have an obvious orgasm every time you or someone else says your name, or orgasm every time you're near a piece of fruit? Oh,
I'd rather do that every time I'm near fruits.
you know, I sh bitch, I should have known that you was gonna say that because this damn food fetish you got, it makes
Yeah,
sense. Let me go ahead and devour an apple and then come at the same fucking time. I'm here for you. I see you. I respect you for that.
yes.
For me, I think I might have to go with the fruit as well. Hmm. Hold up. I got fruit in the kitchen. I can be home and no one says my name, but I can be home and there's a fruit present. So, oh, I don't think I want to orgasm as much. That's this is actually tough.
It is because the reason, if you want me to not tell you, reason why I didn't go with my name because it's just like you gotta be on point with it. You gotta be on beat. If most people can't pronounce my name basically, so that's why I can't
Mm,
orgasm. So I was like, ugh, that'll defeat the purpose.
that's a good point. That's a good point. But I wonder if text messages, what it says, so you can't say a text message. So ooh, I might have to go with names solely because I don't be around too many people throughout the day.
Hmm.
So I have less chances of having the orgasm whenever somebody says my name because of that. And I will be comfortable enough having those orgasms based off of how many times people actually say my name right now. However, when it comes to the fruit, I'm frequently around fruit. And I don't want to randomly be outside and somebody left the apple outside and I'm just like, oh, fruit. Ugh. Like I don't like beware of fruit. And I say that to remind myself that's going to be the name of the episode. But like I just don't want I don't know. I will feel some type of way. And what kind of fruit are we talking about? Because are we talking about the sweet kind, or are we talking about the plants that we regularly see on a daily basis that are technically fruit, but we don't ingest?
Sweet. I like something sweet. It gotta
So
be
we're
something
going,
very sweet.
okay, we're going with
Mhm.
those. Only sweet fruit. We're going with
Sweet
that.
fruit. Sweet fruit. Nothing tarts. No.
Okay,
Uh-uh.
so yeah, I'm going with the name. I'm going with the name because fuck that. Like at least during sex, I can be like, say my name, and we come at the same fucking time. I'm not going to be at the grocery store and somebody throws a fruit says catch and I catch that motherfucker and then I come at the same time. I cannot. Mm-mm, mm-mm. That means I can't even go to the grocery store.
That is true. Oh
Ortiz,
Lord,
we
I
need to
didn't
talk
think of it
about
like
this.
that.
We need to talk about this. Hold on.
Okay, to be fair, maybe okay. What if it was a smell? I think if the smell, it'd probably be like another thing too of a fruit.
Mm,
Cause that probably would really get me off. Probably like, ooh.
all
Cause
right.
I mean, I have literally had an orgasm from just eating salted caramel. I did not know
Mhm.
I would like this that much.
Mm. You had an orgasm eating salted caramel?
I
Bitch.
did. I promise. Like it was a cookie. It was those cookies I had bought from a store. And really, what's strange is I used to hate caramel. I really did with a passion. But on this particular day, I had ate this cookie with salted caramel and it was chocolate chip. Then what made it worse was the fact that it was soft, and I love soft cookies. It was ooey and gooey, and I was like, mm,
Oh my God. Like, talking about food porn. Like, have you ever seen Food Wars?
I
The
have.
anime? That's what it's giving. And if I can experience, okay, I have had some food that kind of had me going towards that route.
Hmm.
Chile. But if I can experience that kind of feeling that it leads to an orgasm just by tasting a chocolate caramel, a salted caramel cookie, oh
It
my.
it was a different experience. I don't know what it was, but it just took me to a whole different zone. And ever since then, I've been obsessed with it. Now, it's so bad because I can't eat it every time because I don't want to lose that feeling. So I was like,
Ooh,
I
good
have to treat
point.
myself.
Good,
Yeah, so that's why
good point. And that's another reason why I'm kind of leaning away from the fruit because I don't want because fruit is I can't really say it's so accessible, but because fruit is accessible through grocery stores, I don't want to become so desensitized to my pleasure because the fruits are everywhere. How,
exactly.
so yeah, I have to go with say my name because so long. But then again, in professional settings, is this Vernon? Ugh, like,
Yeah, no, that's why I didn't answer that. That's why I won't go for that one because
oh God.
I'm like, no, no, never, no.
I think the next time a telemarketer calls me about some shit, I'm going to make the sounds as though I'm coming and make them very uncomfortable. I'm sorry, I should not do that because that's like inappropriate, and they're not consenting to that. But also they're like, why are you calling me?
I mean,
But
don't feel bad. Don't feel bad because there's been bill collectors that were actually random people calling my phone, and this I hope no one don't come for me, but sometimes I do play as a victim of stalking, and I will call out the name and they'll be like, "Please don't call me." I will cry and everything. I will be an actress. I have to cry and everything because I'm like, "Please don't call me no more. Please don't."
I'm so done. Like, I feel like if I did some shit like that, they would just be like, yeah, we cannot call this number again. And just be like, I have this condition. Every time someone says my name, I ejaculate. So do you mind not saying that? So who are you calling for? We're calling for Vernon. Oh my God.
Yeah, I think they're going to be so over it. I think they're going to quit their job.
This is the last straw. First, I get cussed out by these other people, and now somebody's coming on the phone. I cannot deal with y'all no more. I quit today.
Right. Because I would probably be one of those people. I'd be like, okay, I need a drink now.
This is too much. This is too much. Oh my God. Whew. All right. Let me go ahead and end this episode before I do anything else to be extra. Um, so are there any last words that you would like to share with the audience for Tease?
I would like to say, embrace your sexual kinks. There's nothing wrong with having certain fetishes. Just be yourself, be who you are, and find something that brings pleasure into your life. Just do that. Vibrate hard, no pun intended, but do something that's gonna make you soar to the top. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh my gosh. Now he said vibrate higher, no pun intended. I wasn't even thinking about that until you said that, but now it's just like, yes. and listen to the vibrator in my pod. Anyways, thank you, Fortis, so much for coming on to the podcast. I greatly appreciate you. To the audience out there, thank you all so much for listening to the Holy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. Just in case no one else told you this today, you are beautiful, you are worthy of happiness and joy, you are enough and then some. You may not live up to the expectations of others, but that is okay. You are only required to walk in your own shoes. May each day you live lead you towards abundance. With that said, love you all and see you next episode. Bye.
Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the Holiloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. You can subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting app and find us on the web at www.holiloquy.com. That's www.heauxliloquy.com. Share the podcast with your friends and join the conversation.